Hello, welcome once again to Leto's Law. I'm Steve Leto. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm going to step into an area I know it's going to cause a lot of problems and strife in the comment section below. But a while back, I did a video about how sometimes to scare kids into behaving in school, they'll bring in a police officer and handcuff them. And I did a video and I said, hey, you should stop doing that. That's not the right way to discipline a child. And I had several people get very, very angry and upset with me, including several people who said, Steve, in the video I said, a child that age, an unarmed child that age couldn't hurt me. There's no need to handcuff them for the safety of the police officer, for instance. And everyone knows that's not what's happening. You're actually doing this to scare the kid. It has nothing to do with safety. And I had several people say, Steve, if that unarmed child had a gun, you'd be in danger. So you handcuff him. I won't even address that. But a story popped up in the news that reminded me of that. And an Orlando school resource officer arrested two 6-year-old children on the same day last week. So he was fired amid a growing outcry. And I got to thank Josh for passing along the story. The Washington Post reported it, as did virtually every other news organization on earth. And people get upset with me when I say I'm getting a story from here or there. I got to grab a story from someplace. I'm not going to make everyone happy. I'm sorry. If you don't like this version, go read one from someplace else. Okay? But the facts are correct. The facts are the same. Orlando Police Chief Orlando Roland said that Dennis Turner has been suspended after the incidents Thursday at a charter school because he did not follow the department's policy requiring approval from a supervisor for any arrest of a minor younger than 12. And after he was suspended, he was then fired. Okay? So, on behalf of myself and the entire Orlando Police Department, I apologize to the children involved and their families, Roland said during a news conference. As a grandfather of 3 children less than 11 years old, I can only imagine how traumatic this was for everyone involved. Turner was asked for comment, but had not responded as of press time when they wrote the story. Police declined to identify the 2 children because they were minors, only noting that the young boy and girl were both charged with misdemeanor battery in separate events. In an initial statement released over the weekend, officials had incorrectly said the boy was 8 years old when in fact he was 6. The charges against the children have been dropped, and State Attorney Aramis Ayala said Monday that her office never intended to prosecute. Her quote was, "I refuse to knowingly play any role in the school-to-prison pipeline at any age. These very young children are to be protected, nurtured, and disciplined in a manner that does not rely on the criminal justice system to do it." Roland said the police department was shocked that the arrests happened at all, noting that an internal investigation into Turner's actions is still ongoing. He said, "I was sick to my stomach when I heard this. We were all appalled. We could not fathom the idea of a 6-year-old being put in the back of a police car." Neither could Marilyn Kirkland, who told WKMG on Friday that her granddaughter was one of the children involved. She said she could hardly process the call she received Thursday, informing her that the little girl was going to be taken to a juvenile facility. I said, "What do you mean she was arrested?" The caller told her there was an incident because the little girl kicked somebody, and she's being charged now that she's been arrested for kicking somebody. Prosecutors said Monday they'd intervened before either of the children were taken to a juvenile detention center, but the arrests have renewed scrutiny on policing in schools, which advocates and studies say often unfairly targets students of color, those with disabilities, and often land young people in handcuffs for routine misbehavior. And I know that somebody's going to chime in and say, Steve, if a 6-year-old kicked you, you'd be upset. Yeah, I would be. Wouldn't call the cops. Sorry. Kirkland told WKMG that the daughter, the little girl, attends the Luscious and Emma Nixon Academy, a charter school within the Orange County Public School District. A spokeswoman with the district told the Post, that's the Washington Post, that Florida charter schools operate independently. The school administrators could not be reached for comment late Sunday. The little girl's arrest came after the girl had a tantrum in class, and the story is that she has some sleep issues. The episode resulted in a trip to the office where a school staffer tried to grab her by the wrists to calm her down, which prompted her to kick back. So she was arrested and charged. The officer responsible for transporting her confirmed that the proper approval had not been obtained and that she was returned to school before being processed. So again, there's a policy in place that says if they arrest somebody this young, they're supposed to get permission first from a supervisor. The 6-year-old boy who was also arrested on Thursday was processed and released to a family member not long after. This one is not clear what led to the child's arrest. The police officer has been fired, spent 23 years as a police officer in Orlando before retiring in June 2018, according to the department. Early on in his career, he was arrested and charged with abusing his own 7-year-old son, according to the Orlando Sentinel. Roland said Monday that the officer was disciplined following an internal investigation. He was also issued a written reprimand for excessive force after he tasered a man 5 times, jolting the suspect twice when he's already on the floor and no longer resisting, according to a 2016 report from a newspaper in Florida. Police said that he was assigned to the Reserve Officer Program, which reportedly consists primarily of retired police officers. The arrests of the 2 children sparked widespread outrage, as some critics demanded that he be disciplined or fired, while others urged the Orlando Police Department to review its policy regarding minors. And Ayala has echoed the calls for change. She said, "We must explore better options as a state. We must raise the expectations of how we respond in difficult situations. This is not a reflection of the children, but more a reflection of a broken system in need of reform." But again, calling for the officer to be disciplined or fired, well, he's been fired, so it takes care of that. And asking them to review their policy regarding minors. Well, it's pretty clear that the policy's correct. The policy said that a supervisor is supposed to take a look at it and determine whether or not the person should be arrested or charged with what they've done. And the idea that you're going to arrest a 6-year-old who kicked somebody. Don't get me wrong. Kicking somebody is wrong. Okay? I've mentioned before, I took martial arts for a few years. I've kicked people. I've also been kicked. Okay? And I understand this. So we're not discussing whether or not a kick is a bad thing. The question is, when a 6-year-old kicks an adult, okay? And that's what appears to have happened here. The adult was interacting with the 6-year-old, and the 6-year-old kicked the adult. We don't know what the other kid did, but this 6-year-old girl kicked an adult, okay? The odds that that kick rose to the level of something criminal, where you need to charge the 6-year-old and actually try them for the crime of kicking the adult, is so far beyond the pale. Again, I understand someone's going to comment below and say that I'm completely out of my mind for this one. But you know something? If you think that our world has gotten to the point where you look at that situation, there is an adult who deals with kids on a daily basis, and a 6-year-old girl kicks them. If you look at that and say, Steve, the answer to that is to call the police, arrest the child, and let the legal system take care of it. Okay? I think that you're the one who's out of touch here. Okay? As I personally think that in this world of ours, just today, 6-year-olds have kicked people. And none of them were arrested. None of them went to jail. Okay? So the reason that these 2 arrests in Florida made the news is because, number one, they're both by the same guy. Okay? And number 2, they were 6-year-olds. The allegation is that the little kid kicked somebody. And I assure you, I could go to any playground in America today and find a 6-year-old kicking somebody. Okay? Do they get arrested for it? No. Should they get arrested for it? No. Does the police officer who arrests 2 kids without following protocol deserve to be fired? Yes, he does. Okay? So you may disagree with that all you want. I don't care. I'm really sorry. I don't care. This one, I'm right on. And the officer deserved to be fired. He didn't follow protocol. And those kids didn't deserve to be arrested. And that should be the end of it. So the man's been fired. That probably will be the end of it. But I suspect there might be some civil actions coming down the road. We'll see about that. So there you go. That's what happened in Orlando. The school resource officer who arrested 2 6-year-old children on the same day has been fired. Questions or comments? Put them below. Let's talk to you later.